Hello, everyone. Hope you had a great bye week. Welcome back to the Coach McVay Show, presented by Microsoft Surface. I'm JB, along with the head coach, Sean McVay. We are down a man today. DeMarco Farr is on assignment. So
missing him.
We are. It's more like a fireside chat here between the
That's
two
right.
of us, if that's okay. Although our audience thinks this is like a Reese's peanut butter cup. I don't know if you see that similarity. So not really a fireplace, but more
I can see that. Now that you bring it up, it does look like that.
Once you think about it, it's hard to get over.
Yeah.
How was your bye week?
It was good. I think it came at a great time. Number one, it was great to be able to get some time with my family, my wife and my little man, and then my parents and my brother and his wife and their son Remington was in town. So it was good to be able to get some time. And then it was also good to be able to get a chance to reflect. All right, look at these first 5 games, where are we at, where are we headed, what's the vision moving forward. And I think that gap's a lot smaller than people realize. And I know our players feel that way. And so been in these situations before. I know this. We're going to come out swinging, and we're going to fight through this. Got an opportunity to really reflect on, all right, what's the vision? What are the things that we want to really do at a higher level to give ourselves a chance to try to finish these games? Because with the exception of the Arizona game, all of these are one possession. And so that gives me an excitement about attacking it the right way. And I think the guys feel the same way.
Definitely don't want to lose that thread. I'll ask you plenty about the state of the 24 Rams. But since you mentioned your family, how was Jordan's first trip to SoFi?
It was good, other than not getting the result that we wanted. But it seems like, I got to give a shout out to the daycare. It sounds like they do an excellent job. He was able to get a good nap, and then Mom got him out of there. But he did well, saw a lot of people. He's got a lot of love coming his way.
Including Matt LaFleur, right? Who was trying to convert him?
No, yeah. Matt had met him. Yeah, exactly. Matt had met him before, when they were in town this summer. But he's, you know how it is. These kids, especially his first birthday is coming up here in a couple weeks, and been a lot of changes, and it seems like every day that happens.
What about a Halloween costume?
That's Mom. I don't know what Mom's going to do with that. So we'll see. We'll see what she has in store for the Halloween. I know the big birthday plans for his first birthday.
Love that.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Matthew Stafford on Fox NFL Sunday? How did he grade out in his
I didn't
bye
get
week?
a chance to see it.
Oh, you're kidding.
I did not get a chance to see it, but I'm sure he's anytime he's done that, he's always got great presence, great knowledge, always very comfortable, so I'm sure he did great.
He wasn't even the highlight. Schrager catching a pass, like routing up Charles Woodson. That's what you got to go see.
Really? Schrager did that?
Yeah.
I got to check that out.
He's always said he had underrated skills, so he put it on display, which was cool. All right, back to the real matter at hand, the Rams. You probably have heard or know that history is not kind to 1-4 teams, but you alluded to it just a second ago. The gap is smaller than maybe people on the outside see or realize. Why is that?
Yeah, well, number one, too, I think a lot of those numbers are reflective of 16-game seasons, 6 teams in each conference going, where now there's 17 games, 7 teams go from each division, from each conference, excuse me. So that right there is a difference in and of itself. And I've seen it before. Every year there's teams that get themselves in a situation that's not an ideal start, and you look at it year in and year out, whether it's 1, 2, a few, the story is not written after 5 games, and I refuse to believe anything else. We're going to go back to work. These are when you get tried and tested as a coach, as a player. I've never really learned much about people in seasons when we've started 5-0, 4-1. But you certainly do when you have a little bit of adversity. That's the separator. We got a lot of guys that I think have the right competitive stamina, the right mindset and mentality. I know we have the right coaches and players, and we're going to attack this thing the right way.
2020 Washington was the last team to do it, right when that playoff expansion that you referenced happened. And maybe much like them, the division is flat right now in the NFC West. I don't know if you had any rooting interest this week, but you look around at your peers, and you're within a game in the loss column.
Yeah, I think the big focus for us, and I look back, and I think in a lot of situations, every single year is a new year, but there are a lot of parallels that you can draw from year to year. And I remember sitting here, coming off the bye last year at 3-6, and we had 8 games left. And the narratives could be very similar if you're outside in, but we want to be inside out. And what we did was we just continued to focus on the things that we could control. We applied some of the things that we wanted to be able to apply in terms of improving our overall execution in some of the crunch time moments. We really, were able to just kind of stay consistent, though. And I don't think it was by coincidence that ended up leading to us playing our best football. And so we've been here before, whether that be good or bad, but there is a confidence that, hey, we're gonna grab the pen, we're gonna write this story on our terms, and we're excited about the opportunity to come out swinging and see if we can put together a great week of preparation and ultimately a complete performance against a tough Raiders team.
Your phrase there, our best football, like that's what's been stuck in my mind.
Yeah.
Tell me if you disagree. I don't think we've seen anything close to the 24 Rams best football
No,
yet.
I don't either. And I think, really with the exception of the Arizona game, we've had our opportunities to win all of those other 4 games. Now, we've only won one of those 4, but there's moments of positive stuff. And then the things that we're not doing are correctable, whether it's the communication, the clarity, the ability to utilize the fundamentals and the techniques, whether it be decision making. And so that's where I draw confidence from. All right, let's watch the film. Let's evaluate it. Let's see where we're headed. Let's have an identity. Let's have the things that we want to really emphasize moving forward. And if we do that, I'm excited about, shooting our shot and seeing what this looks like.
You can make a lot of people happy tonight by saying that Cooper Kupp is going to play on Sunday.
There's a possibility of that,
right.
And that's a good thing. We've always set that as a possible tentative goal. This week, getting him, on the field, doing some of those things, some of the game-like movements, being able to get him in some of these practice settings, I think will give us a good, guide, if you will, that, all right, when is he ready to return to performance? Not just return to play, but return to performance. And so we're going to, take that a day at a time, but I know he's going to do everything in his power to be ready to go. Reggie and his group have worked tirelessly to try to put him in that position, and we'll see what that looks like.
Seems like such an obvious question and maybe a redundant one given his career, but whether it's third down or red zone or run game, like what could his return mean to the Rams at this moment in time?
All of the above. I think you're getting an excellent leader that's an extension of the coaching staff, has great production, great ability to contribute in a lot of different phases, but just that presence, another playmaker, another guy that can do a lot of the things that are in alignment with playing good quality football that we've become accustomed to over, the last 8 years. And I'm looking forward to saying, all right, hey, let's continue to figure out how to reach these guys. Let's continue to challenge the leaders, how to really elevate and accelerate some of the maturity of some of the younger players that are playing. And let's see what this looks like.
Sure. To that point, like in his absence, I've really enjoyed watching Tutu come on and Jordan grow into his own. Is there an argument to be made that maybe the receiver room at large is in as good or better place than when he went down in week 2 because of those additional reps?
Well, I think what you just mentioned is true. There's been improvement. There's no doubt about it. There's game experience, and there's, repetition is the mother of learning. And these guys are getting an opportunity to be, thrust in the fold in a lot of different situations that come up where learning occurs on a play-to-play basis. And so I've been really pleased with those guys. And so it has forced us to develop depth that probably wouldn't otherwise be illustrated, but getting Cooper back in the mix will help us, but while also making sure we don't lose sight of those guys have helped. They've done some good things, and let's continue to figure out what that looks like when he is back in the mix.
Who else, Sean? I know KT Leviston, a rookie offensive lineman, has been designated to return.
Yeah, there's a possibility with that, being able to just see where he's at. He's a guy that has a lot of the traits, the characteristics that we're excited about, just not a lot of experience playing professional football, not a lot of experience doing some of the things that we would ask of him. So how do you translate those physical traits? How do we see what he's able to digest? What does that look like? There's a possibility we get Joe Noteboom back, who's got that guard tackle flex. And so slowly but surely we'll start to get, some of these guys back. And in the meantime, we've got work to do, and we've got to be able to, get this thing going in the right direction.
So Joe's part of that group of Steve Avila and Puka Nacua. That's that next wave. They're 4
Joe
game.
could be earlier than those guys.
Okay, yep.
Joe could be, Joe's got a big workout that's scheduled this week. We'll see what that looks like in terms of his availability for the Raiders and then possibly for the Vikings.
And then that next group would include Jonah Jackson and John Johnson after some more games go by.
It's really then it's Steve and Puka. JJ's in that group, and then Jonah would be after that.
Okay. Haven't asked you about Tyler Higbee in a while. How's his rehabilitation process going, and what does his horizon look like?
He's doing great. We've always kind of tentatively said, at some point midway through the year is when you start to really, see when he's ready. I know he is ahead of schedule, if you will, but there was a significant injury, but his presence, he's still been leading in his own way when he's here. He's got just such a contagious personality in a positive way. He's got a play energy about himself that when we do get him back, that'll be a real bright spot. There's a lot of guys, that we are missing what they provide, not exclusive to just the production, but just some of that leadership. But in the meantime, there is depth that's being fortified and developed that wouldn't otherwise exist. And this is a situation we got, and these are the opportunities to separate yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, a reason to root for the Rams right now is to give those guys a chance to come back and play meaningful football and impact the outcome of this season. They've earned it away from the field. Let's talk about time on task for the offensive line. If I'm not mistaken, this will be the 4th straight game they have a chance to start in their current configuration or thereabouts. Capable of improved pass protection for Matthew first? Is that a place to start?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes back to the communication, the clarity of who we're blocking. There's some young guys in there, and there's been some mistakes or things that we haven't executed on a consistent basis that have cost us. But I have been impressed with some of the improvements of some of those younger guys that are playing, particularly on the inside. We need to have some competition as well, though, because we need to be able to push the envelope. We'll see what that looks like as the week of practice unfolds. But I do expect improvement. I expect us to continue to do a better job of providing clarity in terms of, all right, hey, how can we see our guys execute on a consistent basis? What are the tools? What's the communication that comes from us as coaches? And then ultimately, how do the players bring it to life?
We're talking with Beaux Limmer, a guest on another show later today. So I want to ask you about what he's done as a rookie, what he's been asked to do, how difficult that is.
It's difficult, and really we put so much on the center position. And we've never been in a situation since I've been the head coach to have to play a center this youthful because, we look at it very similarly to the quarterback position in terms of the amount of communication, the ownership, the way that communication echoes from the inside out. And he's being thrust into a role that I don't think he would have ever expected, nor us really. And he's done a nice job. I think there's been improvement. I think physically he's doing a good job of being able to compete. He's a tough guy. And then I think continuing to get the reps of understanding the importance of that communication. What does it look like to try to provide clarity to the left guard, to the right guard, how that echoes inside out. He and Matthew's rapport. And we've been on our silent count pretty much all of these games, which is a challenging thing as well. But nonetheless, improvement. Been encouraged with Beaux, and I've been proud of the way that he's handled himself, and I expect him to be able to continue to trend in the right direction.
I know you've had the push-up record around here for a long time. I wouldn't challenge Beaux in that regard.
Is that right?
He's a 700-pound squat guy, 39 on the bench at the combine.
Yeah,
5 more than next in line.
Yeah,
he's a weight room hero.
He is a weight room hero. I did know that. I had to test this push-up game, though.
I want to ask about Blake Corum, who got the green light really for the first time. I know he played at Arizona, but in Game 5, what was your evaluation of where he was to be ready for that moment and then his performance on the field?
Well, I think what I've been so impressed with JB is the consistency of his approach, regardless of whether or not he was getting the opportunities or not behind Kyron. But I thought he earned it. Consistent work ethic, ability to earn that trust in these practice-type settings. And then I thought he did really well. Still some minimum opportunities, but he's heavy at the point of contact, good instinctual runner. I thought he did a great job being able to, show some burst through the line of scrimmage. And he's a guy that, we'll continue to, get him opportunities that have been earned. I really like what I've seen, and I've been more impressed with the human being, the way that he's handled it. And then I thought he did maximize the ops that he had against the Packers.
What difference did Darius Williams' return at corner make for your secondary?
It was significant. I thought, really, I was pleased with our defense as a whole. Obviously, we had the one explosive that we can prevent, technique, communication, but I thought Darius was excellent. He's got such a good feel. He's so comfortable in his movement. You can put him in some of those challenging spots, and that's where he thrives. And so it's great to be able to get him back. And I think having him now a couple weeks, even more, rehab, feeling good, he'll only get better.
And then it seemed like the trickle-down effect is it allows you to move some other pieces around the chessboard, whether that's putting Q back at safety, working in Akello. We saw Josh Wallace and Jalen McCullough in there as well as part of that revamped secondary.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, we'll continue to see what's the best combination of guys that gives us the best opportunity to go execute on a week-to-week basis. And so I think there were some real good positives from that. Thought we played smart. I thought we got guys in some of the right spots, and that'll be something that based on whatever that game plan and that approach that we have given the opponent. But I was pleased with that group as a whole.
So you try some different solutions in the secondary. How about at linebacker? Standing pat there, you still think you have the two right guys?
I think there's always going to be competition. There's different ways to be able to get guys. I've been really pleased with Troy Reeder. I think, Roseboom does some really good things, and he's a consistent contributor. Are there opportunities to be able to mix and match your personnels, whether that be from guys from that inside linebacker group with an Omar Spates? What does that look like to be able to, whether it's secondary guys you mentioned or some of our guys up front, those will be things that we can always get creative with.
You know, like the backup quarterback effect, where he's like always the fan favorite in any team. I feel like there's some of that going on with Omar because of the flash they saw at SoFi this summer. Help us understand the leap, though, between putting good film together in August versus being at the center of a real game plan in the middle of the season.
Yeah, he did a great job, and there's a lot of reasons why he's earned that support from fans, and it's very similar from the coaches. There is a very different approach in regards to the preseason, much more regulated with your calls, your communication, the types of schemes that you're seeing from the opponent compared to what you're getting into now. Multiple personnel groupings, different things situationally that occur. We've played a lot of offenses that create a lot of conflict, and so there's different challenges, but he is doing a great job. You know, he's gotten a lot of reps behind the scenes in these practice settings where he's continuing to mature, and so you know, he's a guy that if we feel like that's going to be his opportunity that's earned, you know, that's something that we'll definitely do, and I'm with the fans in terms of that support.
But the run and hit ability, the tackling ability for a team that could use some of that right now, that's real.
No question.
That should
no,
translate.
That's real. Absolutely.
Don't want to overlook special teams either, because I do feel like they're one of the more improved units across the entire National Football League. How much can this additional time on task help them continue to help your team?
I think it's great. You know, I've been really pleased with Chase Blackburn's leadership. Obviously, Scott Frost, you know, they've done a really good job. And so with, you know, the snaps that we do get, all right, how many competitive snaps do you get in some of these settings and situations? Been really pleased with our overall punt operation. We want to punt less and less, you know, as we play better and better offensively. Hasn't been too many opportunities, but the opportunities that Ethan has had, we've been able to pin people deep in opponents' territory. I think that's been a real positive. I think Josh Carty's done a nice job as a field goal kicker. There's a couple of opportunities that we can learn from. Some sudden changes. We get the defensive touchdown. Got to be able to have the snap, hold, and the kick all in alignment. So those will be points of emphasis. And then we've talked about Xavier Smith as a returner. Obviously, I think he's made good decisions. I think he's maximized his chances that he's had in the punt return phase. Weren't great in the kick return, you know, against Green Bay. We did have some opportunities there. Nothing bad, but I think we can still be better. And then Blake had the big one against Arizona, but there's definitely been some positives for sure.
You know, as you kind of self-scout and step back on your bye week, I kind of did some of the same. And one of the things I noticed league-wide, the going for it rates on fourth down have spiked. And you and the Rams are a big part of that. What's leading to that? Is that a change in your own personal philosophy? Is that stretch coming in and influence the thinking
I think
there?
it's a combination of all of those things. You know, what I think we've got to continuously have is the flexibility and fluidity in terms of what's the best way to play the game to go win the game.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some opportunities where we've been in scoring position where we've come up short and come away with no points. And so I think it's, you know, all of the planning, the different abilities to execute, you know, what are the things that we're anticipating in terms of the defensive structures. And so it all plays into it. That's something that, you know, you want to be able to make sure that we're doing a good job of being aggressive, but being smart in our approach based on what that particular game dictates.
Yeah. Want to encourage the process, though, not the outcomes. Maybe you haven't got all of them, but I like a lot of the choices that you've
I like
made.
the decisions. They've been sound in regards to kind of what we wanted to be able to do. But there is an element of, you know, if you're going to do it, you want to be able to execute. You know, it's not just saying this is the right decision. It's making sure that we're able to execute. We've got the right set of plays given the, you know, circumstances or where we're at on the field. And we'll always evaluate those and say, all right, well, where does the responsibility lie to make sure that we improve the overall execution collectively, whether that's coaching, playing, but it's all of us together.
As we wind this down competitively, what does the bye give you an advantage in terms of catching an extra practice day or getting set for this little 2-game and 5-day window?
Yeah, I think it's a refresh, you know, a reset. You're able to take a step back, take an exhale, and then really be able to look at, all right, where are we really at? Where are we headed? And what are the things that you can give a vision to your football team and an authentic belief that you can instill of, this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to be inside out. We're not going to be outside in, and we're going to go put the work in. And we're going to have the competitive stamina to do that and to be able to pound the stone and know that, you know, there are areas of improvement, but we're not just going to be, we're not going to let the first 5 weeks results deter our ability to be able to respond And, whether you like it or not, this is the only times that you really get tested, and I'm excited to see the grit and the resilience of this group.
No, I know no one likes Thursday night football. No one likes the Sunday, Thursday, but the way it sets up for you with a bye on the front end of it, kind of needing to go get some wins in a condensed format.
Yep.
And then if you can handle it right, a little mini bye on the back end before you get back into NFC West play. I circled it. I kind of liked it.
Yeah, you know what? It's the situation that we're in. And you know what I like? I like the opportunity to come back off of this bye and go attack a chance to go get our second win. And do it with the right spirit, the right preparation, the right clarity for these players, and then let's go cut it loose and let's see us play the caliber and the style of football that we've been accustomed to seeing, with the Rams, and that's what we're going to be fighting and scratching and clawing to make sure that we can provide for our fans.
I know I'm the only one standing between you and the Monday practice field, so go out there and help get Cooper Kupp right, and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Thanks, JB.
All right, for Sean McVay, I'm JB Long. As always, the Coach McVay Show presented by Microsoft Surface.